and you're going to see you're going to see an uptick in automating as much as you can from the risk management side and from the compliance side, right? And we're not going to automate risk decisions, but we're going to automate gathering of information and threat intelligence to enable faster, more efficient risk decisions in 2025.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our interview with Dale Hoak. Dale is the Senior Director of Information Security at RegScale, which operates in the field of continuous controls monitoring as a platform that operationalizes and helps produce better GRC outcomes. Dale, welcome to our Risk Management Show podcast today.
Thank you, Boris. It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure too. So, Dale, I believe that we will have a very thoughtful conversation on the topic of findings of your latest 2025 State of Continuous Controls Monitoring report that you just published. But before that, could you tell us a short story about your career path, what brought you to where you are right now, and what you guys at RegScale are up to these days?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, my name is Dale Hoak. I am the Director of Information Security here at RegScale. I hail from a background of military service for roughly 28 years with some security operations experience at companies like Cyberproof, and spent some time at NYPD as the SOC manager there. My path with compliance has been a love-hate relationship, right? So I grew up doing compliance, decided I didn't want to do it anymore, did security operations. And then when RegScale introduced me to the art of automating GRC outcomes, then I came back to compliance in the hopes to honestly to fix it. So at RegScale, what we're trying to do is take good security and generate the GRC outcomes rather than using compliance and the GRC platforms as a checklist. We want to take your good operational security through the use of compliance as code and various other tools, generate a compliance as a result of your good security, right? Good security operations. That's the goal that everybody has.
All right. So if I understand correctly, CCM or continuous controls monitoring is emerging as a critical solution for modernizing the compliance programs and improving security outcomes. So I think we will start with what do you think your general context for persistent challenges in GRC in this report? And could you discuss the persistent challenges like data silos and manual workflows that organizations face in the compliance and security management, and how does the CCM specifically addresses these issues?
Good question, and I'm going to break it into small pieces. So first, GRC has been antiquated for about 10 years, right? Compliance can't keep up with the changing technical landscape. We see it day in and day out. So what we need to be able to do is adjust and provide compliance as a result of security operations monitoring. So take your security scans, take your SIEM monitoring tools, take all of that, ingest it into a single place, and then from there, be able to manage anything that you need to fix, anything that you need to report on, anything that you need to evaluate, and then automate as much of that work as you can in the middle, because we're seeing it. Businesses are seeing that the cybersecurity workforce was expected to grow, but it's not actually growing. But the complexity of the compliance requirements are increasing. And compliance is in itself is growing. So we don't have the workforce to meet the compliance demand. So unless we automate much of this, then we're going to be way behind the outcome. So what we want to do is take the tools that you have and continuously provide a near real-time update of the state of your compliance, and give that to you in formatted, reportable documents that you can automatically generate on demand, right? So you should be compliant, near compliant and have a complete visibility of your compliance 100% of the time.
So let's discuss how we can enhance compliance maturity and how does the continuous controls monitoring enhance an organization compliance kind of process of maturity. Can you provide examples of how it aligns compliance and security efforts more effectively?
Sure. So you mentioned earlier, and I don't think I addressed it, is the silos, right? Compliance guys operate in one vertical, right? Security guys operate in another vertical. The architects and the engineers and operate in another vertical, and they all stay in those. Developers don't want to go outside of the development bubble, right? But compliance folks, they're managing, they're expected to provide guidance on what to do, and security folks are just doing what they're told or providing the scans. Nobody really wants to cross into that field, but in order to have a good CCM, a good GRC outcome, right, you got to start breaking down those silos and enable everybody to talk on one plane. And I think that in most companies today, you're still seeing everybody wanting to operate out of an Excel spreadsheet. Everybody wanting to operate in disparate evidence collection points because it's the evil they know, right? And we get comfortable. And when you've been doing compliance the same way for 20 years, it's very comfortable. This is a market changer, right? This is when you start talking about CCM, it's a complete different way of looking at addressing the challenges of GRC. And it's talking about knocking down those silos, enabling everybody in the business to share and talk about ideas and ways of addressing compliance and vulnerabilities and risks, all in a collaborative nature rather than operating in disparate silos that just aren't effective communication tools.
Mhm. And how about your role you see in modernizing the risk management? Because you mentioned that CCM play probably a very a crucial role in transition from reactive to proactive risk management. How does this shift impact overall outcomes in the GRC?
So when you're managing risk, right, you're looking at you're looking at the business risk, you're looking at the cybersecurity risk, you're looking at all the different levels of risk and scoring it, right, and aligning it to the business needs. In CCM, right, you're taking that risk and you're centralizing it. You're conducting your threat models, right? Your threat models apply universally across all of your different risks, and you have a much clearer picture of risk in near real time using dynamic operational control assurances. So we have a group of controls, right? Those controls are deployed and designed to address risk. So you need to understand what those controls are doing all the time. How do you do that? You get a picture of it through your security scans. You get a picture of it through your audit logs. You get a picture of it through your security operations center. All of these things should be working holistically to provide the CISOs a picture of risk and the state of all of these things in a CISO dashboard in a single pane of glass, right? And I get a lot of laughs when I say single pane of glass. I think it's a overused term in the industry, but that's the goal, is to put risk, all of my governance requirements, all my compliance requirements, and get a complete holistic enterprise picture of security in one place. And I think that's the aim of CCM. Take that holistic picture and provide it so I can do better risk management across the entire surface of my enterprise.
Mhm. Awesome. So let's discuss automation costs and visibility because your report emphasizes automation as a significant benefit of CCM. How does automation reduce the costs associated with compliance programs while improving visibility into risk and controls? Because now we see in new administrations that they want in US they want to slice costs, and maybe your kind of solution will will be very famous for this.
Well, so I agree with the need to cut costs, right? And I also agree that CCM can cut costs. But we're not talking about cutting people. We're talking about optimizing your people to do the proper job by using automation to get the data where it needs to be, right? You don't need somebody. chasing around evidence, right? You don't need somebody generating a bunch of emails or opening a bunch of tickets, right? These are all things that we could do through the use of automation, and the continuous controls monitoring thought process is using AI, machine learning, compliance as code, get rid of all the humans in the loop doing stuff that a machine can do, and allow humans to make decisions based off what the machine is doing. So through API integrations, through the use of machine learning and AI, let them do the low hanging fruit and optimize your workforce, and allow your workforce to actually do what you are paying them to do, because compliance is very complex, right? It's complex because there's a lot of rules and laws, right? Then add risk on top of it. Risk makes compliance more complex. All of these things have a lot of redundancy. So CCM is designed to take the and actually, if you look at the amount of time that you save, right? If you talk about metrics, and through the use of CCM, we'll just talk about one that everybody uses, SOC 2, right? So in my SOC 2 package, the first time I did the SOC 2 package 2 years ago, right, the average time for a company to generate a SOC 2 package was between 300 and 400 man hours, to include uh building the outcomes, the memorandums, gathering all the evidence, writing the statements, doing the interviews, things of that nature. So for my first SOC 2 type 2 package, that 300 man hours got shrunk to 90 man hours, right? Which I think you'll see is a significant decrease in time. And so I was able to do multiple packages, working on FedRAMP and SOC 2 simultaneously, because I took some of that time back. In the second iteration of SOC 2, which happened in 2024, we reduced that 90 man hours to 30 man hours by operationalizing the evidence collection, automating the evidence collection, putting it in one place that we can easily map, and taking control implementation statements across multiple SSPs and really reusing those as evidence that the auditor can review and approve. So that's just one example of automation. Another example of using automation is we all have our scans. We all understand secure baselining, right? So a new asset gets deployed in the cloud, checks in to your centralized management platform, whatever that is, reaches out, triggers a STIG scan for your security baselining. The STIG scanner reaches out, runs the automation, comes back, makes a report. If anything fails, it generates an issue and gets it fixed. If you have a finding, a vulnerability, automatically reports to that centralized platform. And now the state of your compliance is there all the time. And all of the things that I just said used to take a person to do them is now being done through machine learning. Or, I'm sorry, correction, is now being done through the use of APIs. And then you could entirely write an SSP nowadays with the use of AI if you're conscious about securing your AI. So I think that's one example. I could go on and on because this is passionate and I do this every day. How do I optimize my guys? I'm a small team. How do I operate my small team to have giant outcomes?
Mm, fantastic. Yeah, yeah. So you specialized some metrics and that highlights efficiency. But let's discuss aligning strategy and technology. How does CCM integrate with existing technologies like ERP system or third-party risk platforms to streamline workflows and unifying control data? Could you share some examples or maybe successful integration or something like this?
Sure. So I'll talk about one right out the front. So we're a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Wiz platform. I think it's kind of taken the market by storm. Wiz is super powerful. So it provides compliance scans, it provides risk scans, it provides container scans. It has a lot of functionality, right? So I have taken the use of API and GraphQL queries from RegScale. We pull all of this data into the platform. We update all of my paperwork in real time. So now I don't have to go through and rewrite a control implementation statement if something changes, or I don't have to go through and generate an issue and manage a POAM. It's all done automatically, right? So that's one example. Another example is take that identified issue out of Wiz, run it automated workflow manager. So we have an output from I'm just going to use RegScale because I know it the best. I know several platforms do this, but the idea of CCM is instead of somebody writing a ticket and then emailing somebody to let them know that they have a ticket, all of that whole manual process, it goes out to say a Jira, and then Jira generates a ticket, notifies the control owner or the service owner. The service owner then makes sure it's fixed. And then the report walks itself back, updates your issue, closes them if it scans clean, and then you have an updated plan of action and milestones or issues tracker, depending on what vertical you're operating in. So these are just some examples of what continuous controls monitoring is and what it and how it impacts the business at the enterprise level.
Mhm. All right. So let's discuss some emergent trends as we look ahead. What emergent trends in CCM do you foresee for this year and beyond? How will these trends further modernize compliance programs and improve security outcomes in critical industries?
So I see three trends that there's a decided uptick in over the course in 2025. You're going to look at people using AI to achieve compliance outcomes. Nobody wants to cut and paste 400 to 1,000 controls into a new SSP every time they want to do it. They want to modernize. They want the machine to do it for them and then them to review it. So we're going to have machines helping with control implementation statements, providing an audit trail that says, hey, this control implementation statement misses the mark, and then giving you the ability to provide an automated outcome. And then the other one is taking your existing policies. We all have if anybody's doing a CISO job, you have anywhere between 50 and 100 policies, depending on what your business is. Taking AI, looping through those policies, pulling out the pertinent control and risk data, and then writing the control and risk data to a single pane of glass, I think is one trend that you're going to see that is going to take off. The second trend is compliance as code, right? So we've heard of OSCAL, we've heard of open cybersecurity framework, right? Using that to operationalize and ensure that that you're reporting at the you're reporting you're taking your automated reports from your tools and getting them into your platform, but also compliance as code all the way down to where you're writing code, summarizing your SAST, your DAST, your SBOMs, your container scans is early on in the pipeline to prevent bad business outcomes in the production environment, right? So you're going to see a sharp uptick in compliance as code in 2025 because that speaks to operationalizing your developers, your engineers, your architects, and CTOs and CISOs want to avoid the risk entirely of injecting bad code or bad licensing into their platform at the earliest levels. So if you're practicing compliance as code, you're going to prevent those outcomes. And the third thing is automating everything that makes sense to automate, right? So Travis Howard and our CEO says automating stupid does not generate good business outcomes, right? So we want to automate what makes sense to automate and let people handle the other things. And you're going to see you're going to see an uptick in automating as much as you can from the risk management side and from the compliance side, right? And we're not going to automate risk decisions, but we're going to automate gathering of information and threat intelligence to enable faster, more efficient risk decisions in 2025. Those are the three trends I see swinging upwards.
All right, so good summary. So, Dale, I would like to ask you a personal point of view. What are the major misconceptions in this field of CCM that you kind of strongly disagree with?
So I think that people look at CCM as the same as GRC, and it's not, right? GRC, when you say GRC to anybody, GRC does not empower business outcomes, right? GRC is taking compliance, right, as a checklist, generating risk based off how compliance tells you to generate risk, and producing evidence so that you can check the box and maintain your certification so you can continue to do business. CCM is the direct inverse of GRC. CCM is taking your good security, your good security that you pay good money for, and operationalizing that security to generate the necessary reports to get governance, risk, and compliance outcomes. So you can make better risk decisions earlier on in the process, and you get compliance as an outcome of automating your or conducting dynamic operational controls assurance, right? Making sure that your controls are in line all the time through the use of your tooling, right? Able to conduct risk assessments based off that information earlier on in the process, and instead of waiting for an issue to pop up and assessing the risk, you can assess the risk early on based off of the threat intelligence that is being populated, and then getting compliance as an outcome rather than using a checklist. And it's also, the other thing is, um, the breaking down of silos is critically important for CISOs to save money. I don't think that, and I think the report addresses this, but I don't think CISOs realize how much time is spent trying to break down these silos to get data from one silo to the other, rather than allowing it to vertically or to move laterally smoothly. So I think that everybody looks at compliance as, kind of this broken process that is siloed and manual. The CCM crushes the silos, automates the manual, and really kind of repairs the thought process if you give it the opportunity and time to make the change.
Mhm. All right, fantastic. So, if we summarize our interview for those who listening, would they would like to walk away with one or two major takeaways, what would that be?
CCM is a force multiplier, right? When you automate and get away from manual processes and siloed communications, you are taking your workforce and making them 10 times more efficient. That's the first thing I would like people to capture. The second thing is uh, move away from the legacy form of GRC, right? Get away from thinking of it as governance, risk, and compliance. Roll it up, make it a holistic thought process, and look at continuous controls monitoring as the as maintaining a near real-time look at how all of your compliance and operations are working together and generating your compliance requirements as an outcome of that, right? And the last thing is, this is not easy. So changing from GRC, legacy GRC, to CCM is not easy. I encourage CISOs to be brave and take the next step. Change is scary, change is hard, right? And change has got to be driven by business requirements, not, regulatory requirements. So CISOs need to take the opportunity to do a business impact analysis on CCM and recognize where they're going to see immediate value in changing to CCM instead of staying in legacy processes. Make make the risk and compliance of your company a business outcome of your security, rather than compliance a checklist that you have to execute, right? Understand that you're going to make your company more money in the long run by doing away with manual processes and everybody's got a compliance requirement, right? Yeah, if you're in retail, it's less than if you're in federal government, but everybody's got something. Be it PCI DSS, be it SOC 2. Look at these as business opportunities instead of regulatory compliance requirements, and make that change to CCM as a operationalizing security for your business, and you're going to see a swing in the outcomes. You're going to see more positive incomes. You're going to be able to be more on your front foot. You're going to be more proactive, vice reactive, in your security programs.
All right, fantastic, Dale. That's why all my questions. If I forgot to ask you something that you feel is important to our audience, please go ahead. Maybe you can say where they can find your report or something like this.
So, sure. If you are interested in pulling down the report, you can go to www.regscale.com. There, all of the CCM reporting is there, plus Quite frankly, a whole slew of other informational data around continuous controls monitoring and how to operationalize your security to get compliance outcomes. So that's www.regscale.com. And if you're interested in reviewing what the platform can do, feel free to look at regscale.readme.io.
All right. Thank you again, and I wish you and your company RegScale great success and further for next interview because we already interviewed some of your guys. I think two guys we interviewed CEO and CEO. Now CIO. All right. Thanks, and hope to see you guys again.
Thank you, Boris. I appreciate the invite. And this is a really great opportunity to talk about risk. And as always, it's great to talk to you.
Absolutely.